This presentation is rated TC for Team Conrad territory and may contain heavy Bonrad bias and unapologetic Jeremiah slander. The following may trigger intense rage, denial, and excessive coping among Team Jeremiah members. Viewer discretion and emotional regulation is advised. Court is now in session for the trial of Jeremiah Fisher, case number 1214, Crimes Against Love and Narrative Integrity. Jeremiah might claim,
Belly's always been our story, yours and mine, nobody else's.
but the prosecution intends to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this so-called our story is a fabrication. A delusional reinterpretation of events that have always been Belly and Conrad's story. This is the Drama Diary Court.
Excuse me?
Assisting the prosecution today is Sassy Connie, resident legal aid, expert in cross-examinations, and personally committed to finding Jeremiah Fisher guilty on all counts.
Relax.
Before we dig into the receipts, let's establish motive. Isabel Susanna Conklin, the dreamer, a romantic at heart.
I just can't imagine marrying someone who didn't give me fireworks. You know, like electric jolts every time I saw them.
But insecure and aching to be chosen.
Boys at school never look at me. Taylor's the one they look at. I guess you could say I'm just kind of there.
Her glow-up wasn't just about lip gloss and sundresses. It was about wanting to finally matter to the person who'd always mattered to her.
It doesn't matter what I do. He doesn't see me that way.
That desire for validation shaped every messy, impulsive choice she made in that summer of confusion and every summer that followed. And also a lot of guilt-tripping. Conrad Beck Fisher, the protector. Grief-stricken, parentified.
You're the oldest. You're supposed to look out for the younger kids.
Yeah, how's he holding up? Why don't you ask him yourself?
Come on. We both know I'm not good at that kind of thing. That's why I asked you to take care of him.
And carrying everyone else's burdens.
If I just keep it inside, you know, maybe that's what keeps her alive.
His love for Belly was quiet and careful, the kind that holds back out of fear of causing harm. Every hot and cold moment, rooted in trying to protect her, not push her away. Jeremiah Wonka Fisher, the performer. Sunshine boy on the outside, inferiority complex on the inside.
And I'm sorry that I'm not some straight A overachiever going to med school like Conrad.
Oh my God, what? Please don't put your inferiority complex on me.
Always second to Conrad in their father's eyes, in school and in Belly's heart. So when he realized Conrad might choose Belly too, it wasn't just about love anymore. For Jeremiah, it was about winning, and Belly became the prize. So no, this was never a love triangle, Your Honor.
No.
It was a collision of grief, insecurity, and competition, with Conrad and Belly's story at the center, and Jeremiah desperately orbiting around it. The childhood record. Now, the prosecution isn't here to argue who caught feelings first. This isn't Love Island. They were literal children. No one was expecting romance at that age, but memory's a funny thing, especially when the truth doesn't fit your narrative. Let's review the defendant's own testimony.
I wanted to tell Conrad that he had no right, that he'd ignored Belly for all these years.
That's funny, Jerry, because the receipts say otherwise. Exhibit A, the bike lesson. When Stephen and Jeremiah sped off, who stayed back to help Belly learn and make sure she didn't fall? That's right, Conrad Fisher. He's been emotionally present since training wheels. Exhibit B, the glass unicorn. When Belly spent hours admiring the glass unicorns, who was the one who noticed and bought one for her birthday? Conrad. Exhibit C, the muffin incident. When Stephen and Jeremiah turned Belly's muffin into a game of monkey in the middle, who got it back for her? Conrad. Exhibit D, the boardwalk. When Belly was 13, who was it that asked her to the boardwalk just to spend time with her? Conrad. And while she convinced herself he was there for Ring Toss Girl, the jury can clearly see. Conrad's eyes were locked on one person only, Miss Isabel Conklin. And Junior Mint, obviously. Exhibit E, the dance practice. When she needed a partner and everyone ignored her, who stood up, with sweaty hands, might I add, because even then, Belly made him nervous? Conrad again. Jeremiah's brotherly teasing, copy-pasted straight from Stephen's playbook. Conrad's care, quiet, consistent, and very much not brother-coded. Exhibit F, the sick day. When Belly was sick before the 4th of July, who had to be begged by Susanna to stay home?
Poor Belly stuck inside with a cold. It'd be sweetie to keep her company. Chair, please.
Jeremiah. He wasn't catching feelings. He just caught the flu. Conrad's been emotionally dialed in since day one, and no one had to ask him to do it. Even Susanna Fisher, mother of the defendant himself, confirmed it under oath.
You've always been so good to her. Remember when you were the only one who'd let her take after you and the boys?
Jeremiah's version of events? Fake. Manufactured. Full of plot holes and wishful thinking. Now, the defense might argue Jeremiah just remembers things differently. But if your memory can't survive basic cross-examination, how can we trust anything you say? In legal terms, that's a credibility issue. And here in the Drama Diary Court, we call it what it is. Jeremiah Fisher, unreliable narrator, serial revisionist, and guilty of emotional perjury. So Jeremiah, tell me again, who ignored who?
Discretion. I like that. That looks good on you, Jared, because that's a new thing. That's a very new thing.
The real childhood friends to lovers. The defense loves to claim that Belly and Jeremiah are the epitome of childhood friends to lovers. Cute theory. Wrong couple. The real childhood friends to lovers story belongs to Belly and Conrad. Long before Jeremiah even realized Belly existed, Conrad was already fighting feelings he didn't know how to name. By that first summer, it's obvious Belly's in love with him.
I wished for Conrad on every birthday, every shooting star, every penny in a fountain.
And Conrad? He's just realizing he doesn't want to fight it anymore.
You've always been a precious person to me. I've always cared about you. And then at some point, I started to see you differently, and that scared me because I didn't want things between us to change.
That line hits every hallmark of the friends to lovers arc. The deep-rooted friendship, the slow burn shift into something more, the struggle to navigate the changing dynamics, and the fear of losing it all if you mess it up. Cue awkward flirting, subtle teasing, jealousy, and a whole lot of yearning. Exhibit A, Belly's POV. The summer Belly lost the glasses, and braces didn't change Conrad's feelings. It just made it harder for him to hide them. Jeremiah, on the other hand, that's when he finally started paying attention. When she looks at Jeremiah, it's warm, friendly, same summer energy as always. But when she sees Conrad, everything slows down. Lover by Taylor Swift plays. Not just anyone gets an entrance to Lover. It's evidence it was always going to be him. And it doesn't just reveal Belly's side of the story. When Conrad sees her, he goes from brooding to smiling in an instant, and he forgets anyone else even exists. Sorry, Stephen, but Belly is the one he's been waiting for.
Liked you better with glasses.
Translation? I liked you even before the glow-up, before anyone else noticed. Sure, his delivery was a little rough, but by season 3, he'd refined the art.
I like your hair.
Later, under emotional cross-examination by Belly herself, Conrad confesses,
I have tried everything not to love you. I've fought it way before the summer that my mom got sick.
And to Agnes, when she asks when he knew it was love,
It wasn't one moment. It was... You know when you're still half asleep and you don't even realize that you're awake until there's one moment when you just are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
that's not a spark that suddenly ignites one summer. That's a slow burn, years in the making kind of love. Exhibit B, Jeremiah's late arrival to the plot. Jeremiah's season 2 testimony reveals,
From the first moment I saw her last summer, I was done for. She'd always been just Belly. I wanted to grab her and hold her and kiss the shit out of her.
so, the first moment you thought she looked hot? Got it. Not exactly compelling evidence of emotional depth, more like aesthetic-based attachment with a dash of FOMO. Conrad didn't fall for the new Belly. He just stopped pretending he hadn't loved her all along. Jeremiah didn't fall in love. He just caught up to the trend. Exhibit C, the pool. Moments after Belly arrives at the summer house, she drags Conrad into the pool after the signature belly flop. For a split second, it's just the two of them. Conrad holds on to her a little longer than necessary, because clearly he's into her.
Let go!
Belly, suddenly up close with the boy she's loved for years, freaks out and pulls away, leaving Conrad wondering if he completely misread the signal. Later that day, Belly goes for her trademark night swim. And Conrad? Already perched at the edge of the pool. Coincidence? Not a chance. He knows her routine. And the thing about being childhood friends is that they've known each other long enough to notice the smallest changes. Conrad knows Belly isn't really the Deb Ball type, just like Belly knows the whole smoking thing isn't him.
Well, I still think you should quit.
What do you give me if I do?
The smirk? The playful flirtation? All evidence that Conrad already likes her more than just a friend. But Belly gets flustered, and honestly, can you blame her, Your Honor? Looking that good should be a criminal offense.
Nothing. I think you should quit for yourself.
Conrad looks down, suddenly deflated. He's always known Belly had a crush on him, but when she doesn't reciprocate his flirting, he starts wondering if maybe that's all it ever was. Just a crush. Classic signs of trying to navigate the terrifying waters between just friends and something dangerously romantic. And what does any 17-year-old with a bruised ego do after realizing the girl he likes might not feel the same? He finds a distraction in someone else. Not saying it's right, just relatable. Exhibit D, the Jealousy Chronicles. You can't have a friends to lovers story without a little mutual jealousy. Though they'd both rather gaslight themselves into denial than admit it. Belly's turn hits first when she sees Conrad with Nicole and immediately starts spiraling. But two can play that game. When Belly assumes Conrad's not interested, she moves on, or at least tries to, with Cameron. And let's just say Conrad does not handle it well. He sees the bonfire kiss, he hates it, and then immediately after.
Your hair's like a little kid's, the way it's always so messy.
Playing with her hair while saying this, his actions scream, "I like you," but his words are trying to convince himself they're still just kids. Back when feelings weren't this complicated. Then when Belly mentions her drive-in date,
I'm going to the drive-in.
With who? Hey, dude, focus, come on.
forget the video game, Conrad's attention is locked on her. And when Steven mentions going to the drive-in too.
Yo, actually, let's go to the drive-in.
Wait, like really?
Yeah. Why not?
Conrad practically jumps out of his seat at the mention of Belly. But even jealous Conrad knows not to cross her boundaries. The second Belly looks upset. He's the one who says they should leave. And when she comes home that night, who's waiting up?
How was your hot date?
Conrad, obviously. Jeremiah, probably busy rehearsing for his next Willy Wonka audition.
Cacao is the bean.
Belly, the observant queen that she is, immediately clocks what Conrad is trying to do.
Admit it. You knew what you were doing.
What? What was I doing?
Reminding me that you existed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The downward gaze says otherwise.
You cared where I was, who I was with.
No, I didn't. I don't care.
And the shifty eye contact? A classic case of a man searching for the nearest escape route from his own feelings.
You spent your Saturday night crashing my first date for fun.
When Belly mentions it was her first date, you can see it hits him. Because in his mind, the boardwalk was her first date. But Belly didn't see it that way. Then when Cameron kisses Belly again at the dinner table, Jeremiah is clowning, but Conrad, jealousy and heartbreak. Conrad's mouth may not always say how he's feeling, but the eyes, Chico, they never lie. Exhibit E, Infinity. Enter the Infinity Necklace, the most emotionally charged piece of jewelry since the Titanic's Heart of the Ocean. Oh, and fun fact, it's a Tiffany necklace. Retail price? Around $240. Not exactly pocket change for a 17-year-old. And since there's no Tiffany's in Cape Cod, which is where Cousins Beach is supposed to be, he must have bought it back in Boston before heading there for the summer. Meaning he picked it out for Belly's 16th birthday before he even saw her that year, before the glow-up. The math is mathing. He's been falling for her for a while, even if he hasn't realized it himself. Belly always remembered Infinity, but the fact that Conrad does too proves just how much he cares about her. Like Infinity, this isn't just some crush that's going to fade by the end of summer, and it terrifies him to admit just how deeply he feels for her.
Belly, you don't know the effect you have on me.
Sir, you don't know the effect you have on people either, let's be serious. And Belly, the girl who thought boys never looked at her that way, can hardly believe she could have this kind of effect on the one boy she's always looked at.
Effect on people? I don't know what you're talking about.
Up until this point, it's been all Belly and Conrad's story. That is, until Jeremiah decides to blow everything up, literally. When love becomes a competition. For Conrad, it's always been love. For Jeremiah, just a way for him to finally one-up his big brother. Timing matters, and the receipts don't lie. In Season 3, Jeremiah falsely accuses Conrad of the following.
Let's talk about how you hung around all summer like a snake in the grass, pretending to help me with my wedding, when really you were just trying to break it up and take Belly for yourself.
Projection much? Let's rewind the tapes and see who the real snake in the grass is. Exhibit A, the firework incident. We return to the scene of the crime. Step 1 on Jeremiah's guide to taking over your brother's love life, the firework diversion. Interrupt your brother's first kiss with the girl he loves by staging a pyrotechnic distraction. Bonus points if you can make it look accidental. Plausible deniability is key. Now, let's define manipulation. To influence a person or situation unfairly or unscrupulously. The footage clearly shows that Jeremiah sees Belly and Conrad together. He then stands there for a while, 1 full minute to be exact, watches them and only lights the firework when they start leaning in. He then proceeds to aim it right in their direction. That's not coincidence. That's intent. It's manipulating the situation to stop the kiss from happening. The defense will argue that Conrad and Belly could have kissed after the firework anyway, but it's all about cause and effect. If Jeremiah hadn't interrupted, Conrad would have been the first to kiss Belly. Instead, Jeremiah ended up being the first, which becomes important, because he keeps using that fact as emotional leverage to guilt Belly for an entire year. We'll get into all that guilt tripping a little later, but that one firework didn't just ruin a kiss. It changed the trajectory of all 3 of their lives for the next 6 years. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but it all started right here. Also, it's painfully obvious how nervous Belly makes Conrad. Like when he finally worked up the nerve to ask her to the Deb Ball, opening with that cheesy motivational line and barely managing eye contact. Or even months later during Christmas, he's sitting so far away they might as well be in different postal codes. And honestly, fair. Belly's a total baddie. So yeah. Once that firework went off, whatever ounce of courage he had left went right up with it. And it wasn't just Conrad's moment that was ruined. Let's not forget, Belly considers Jeremiah to be her best friend. He knew she'd been in love with Conrad for years. She's finally about to kiss her longtime crush, and who swoops in to ruin it? Her so-called bestie. Honestly, who needs enemies when you have a brother and a best friend like Jeremiah? Oh, and let's not gloss over the safety hazard. Fireworks are unpredictable. That one clearly changes direction midair. What if it had veered to the right instead? 1 gust of wind and it would have been bye-bye birdie and bye-bye Belly. And while we're on the subject of reckless behavior, let's not ignore the pattern of violence displayed by Mr. Jerry Wonka towards his brother. Things are not looking good for you, Jeremiah, but let's get one thing straight. He only started pursuing Belly after Conrad did. From that point on, it wasn't about love. For Jeremiah, it was a competition. Exhibit B, the very next day. Conrad wakes up smiling, still thinking about Belly. Clear evidence that his love isn't performative and it's never been about competition. She just genuinely makes him happy. He checks his phone, sees her text, and smiles again. He even goes looking for her, hair still wet because the day before she said it looked romantic that way. Subtle, but flirty. Even Jeremiah notices how happy he is. And when Conrad calls him out about the firework,
I didn't know you guys were out there.
liar.
Hey, where's Belly and everyone else?
Belly and Steven are at the club doing the whole Deb thing.
Jeremiah knew Conrad was looking for Belly. Instead of being happy for his brother, who's been depressed for months, Jeremiah doubles down on his plan to snatch away the one person that's making Conrad smile.
If you wait a minute, I'll take you. I'm heading over there.
Step 2 on Jeremiah's guide to taking over your brother's love life. The spotlight hijack. Beat him to the Deb Ball rehearsal. Hijack it into your own little dance floor spectacle, and put on your fun, nice guy act to show her you're the better option. Meanwhile, Conrad respectfully smiles and waves at Belly from afar. Jeremiah's affection is loud and performative. Conrad's is quiet but real. Was Conrad wrong to continue using Nicole as a shield from his true feelings that summer? Yes, but they weren't exclusive.
You and Conrad a thing or what?
I think, or what?
And he took accountability for it. Something Jeremiah does not know how to do. Sidebar. How many people was Jeremiah hooking up with that summer again?
I remember it was 7. And that's not even including Belly. Shut up!
Anyway, let's make one thing clear. Conrad was there for Belly and his text confirms it. See you when you get back. Even Cleveland Castillo backs it up.
Not until you tell me about your mystery girl. There it is again, huh?
Yeah, it's just, we grew up together.
Then Cleveland, the only responsible adult other than Laurel, delivers the line that defines Conrad's entire arc.
It's that you can't be good with someone else until you're good with yourself.
That becomes the reason he pushes Belly away. Not because he doesn't love her, but because he loves her too much to drag her into his storm. Meanwhile, Jeremiah's scheming continues.
Where's your brother been all day? He's not texting me back.
Step 3 on Jeremiah's guide to taking over your brother's love life. The elimination tactic. If you can't win fair and square, just get your brother out of the picture. Bonus points if you make it look like you're helping him. Nothing says brotherly love like a little strategic sabotage.
Well, actually, Conrad's been wanting to go to Yarmouth.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay. And whether Conrad accepted Nicole's proposition to go to Yarmouth or not is irrelevant. The truth still stands. Jeremiah acted with full intent to get rid of his brother so he could shoot his shot with Belly. The turning point comes when Conrad sees Susanna's painting. Normally, her art is beautiful. But this one's off. She was high, likely to help with pain or appetite because of her cancer. For Conrad, that painting becomes a gut-punch reminder of her illness and mortality. He snaps, knocking the canvas over, a perfect metaphor for how fast joy slips away under the weight of grief. That emotional crash bleeds right into his confrontation with Belly when she tells him she broke up with Cam and he pretends he doesn't remember almost kissing her the night before.
Belly, I think about you. I do. I do. Just... can't.
That pause between I just and can't says everything. He can't, because his mother is dying. Because his father cheated and left. Because he's the eldest, trying to hold everything together. And if he were to start something with Belly, he couldn't hide all that from her. So none of that gets said. She already believes he could never feel the same way she feels about him. So to her, his distance feels like rejection. To him, it's protection. And that's the opening Jeremiah's been waiting for. Belly's vulnerable, heartbroken, and confused. Conrad's clearly not okay.
Ooh, what happened to the good mood Conrad from this morning?
But does Jeremiah even try to figure out what's going on with his brother like a normal sibling? Of course not. He skips straight to step 4 on Jeremiah's guide to taking over your brother's love life, the opportunistic move. When the coast looks clear, make your move. Your brother almost kissed her less than 24 hours ago? Who cares? She just broke up with her boyfriend today? Even better, move fast before she has a chance to process her feelings, or worse, before she realizes she still has a shot with your brother. Timing is everything. Strike while the heart breaks hot.
There are times I wanted to be more.
Why didn't you say anything?
There was always Conrad. And this summer it was Cam.
Wait, hold on. Let's rewind to the bonfire for a second. Conrad was there with Nicole, and Belly hadn't even met Cam Cameron yet, meaning Jeremiah had every opportunity to shoot his shot with Belly. Did he?
Jeremiah!
Nope. Interesting. I thought from the moment you saw her that summer you wanted to kiss the shit out of her? Well, what happened? You had your chance right there. And the defense will no doubt argue that Jeremiah just needed to see Belly with Cam to convince himself she was over Conrad. But Belly was literally about to kiss Conrad less than 24 hours earlier, so even while dating Cam, she clearly hadn't moved on from Conrad. So that logic is flawed. Now let's rewind to the morning when Belly first announces she's going to be a debutante. When Susanna asks who's going to escort her, Jeremiah says no. Because if Conrad's out, he's out. The defense might say Jeremiah only said no because Belly had already kissed Cam, but that logic doesn't hold up. When Jeremiah shoots the firework, crashes Belly's Deb rehearsal, and convinces Nicole to ask Conrad to Yarmouth, Belly's still seeing Cam. So clearly Cam wasn't the issue. The only thing that had changed Conrad started showing interest in Belly. So all this? It really was about breaking things up and taking Belly for himself only after he realized Conrad liked her. Looks like a golden retriever. Slithers like a snake. Enter Susanna Fisher, the mastermind behind the triangle.
Susanna told me that when I was born, she knew I was destined for one of her boys. I always hoped it would be Conrad. But here I am, about to kiss Jeremiah Fisher.
Mama Fisher meant well, but she didn't realize Belly would take her words literally. But let's not get it twisted. It wasn't love that pushed Belly toward Jeremiah. It was heartbreak. When she felt rejected by Conrad, she sought validation from Jeremiah. For Belly, it always comes back to insecurity. The need to feel seen, chosen, desired. This was the first summer she truly felt pretty. The summer she thought she would finally experience everything other girls her age already had.
Ever been to third? Put a finger down if you've ever gone to second.
Put a finger down if you've ever made out with Jeremiah Fisher.
Was she wrong for not turning Jeremiah down when she still clearly had feelings for his brother? Sure, but what's a girl to do? And look, he's not my type, but I can see the appeal. I mean, come on. If you'd gone your whole life invisible to guys, and suddenly these two fine-ass brothers are both looking at you like that? Yeah, you'd probably lose the plot a little too. That kind of attention would make anyone's brain short-circuit. Especially when Jeremiah's out here acting like he's fighting for the final rose on The Bachelorette. Cousins Beach edition. So can we really blame her? And Belly's confused reaction says it all.
Are you into Jeremiah?
You mean Conrad?
She had never even considered Jeremiah as a romantic option until he put the idea in her head. So without Jeremiah inserting himself in the story, there wouldn't even be a triangle. And she wasn't trying to be vindictive. It's just easy to mistake comfort and friendship for something deeper when you're that vulnerable. Does Conrad get some of the blame? Sure. His hot and cold behavior definitely confused her. But here's the difference. Conrad's actions were to protect her, whereas Jeremiah's actions were opportunistic and self-serving. And let's be real, he had to do all this scheming just to get Belly to notice him. Is this really how he wanted to start a potential relationship? Because it's not exactly a solid foundation, more like a disaster waiting to happen. And by season 3, Jerry Wonka's still keeping score.
She didn't choose me, but she didn't pick you either.
It's not a competition, Jeremiah. I'd like to call Denise Russo, the new love interest of the defendant, to the stand. Denise, do you have any words for Jeremiah about his relationship with his brother?
You are the one who is obsessed with him.
Thank you, Denise, for confirming what we've known all along. The Deb Ball Prophecy. The season 1 finale showed us exactly what was going to happen in seasons 2 and 3. When Belly chooses to go to the Deb Ball with Jeremiah, Conrad, ever the selfless one, tells her,
Sure was the right choice.
In hindsight, this moment becomes the blueprint for his behavior for the next 2 seasons. Years of stepping aside, letting go of what he wants for the sake of everyone else, and telling himself his brother's the better choice until Jeremiah inevitably fumbles. Exhibit A. The Waltz. Belly is left standing alone in the middle of the dance floor, and without hesitation, Conrad steps in. Because when Belly needs someone, he shows up. Always. The pull between them is magnetic, the invisible string that keeps bringing them together, no matter how much they try to resist. They dance to Etta James's At Last, a lyrical wink to the season 3 finale, also titled At Last, where the story finally catches up to what this scene has been telling us all along. Belly and Conrad are inevitable, and Laurel's words say the rest. For Belly, Conrad is the sun. And when the sun comes out, the stars disappear. Translation. Jeremiah. Background noise. Conrad. Endgame. Exhibit B, The Beach Confession 1.0. Once Susanna's illness is out in the open, Conrad doesn't have to protect everyone from the truth anymore. And when she agrees to start cancer trials, he finally lets himself believe things might get better. For the first time all summer, he lowers his guard, apologizes for how he acted, and tells Belly how he feels. And for Belly, it's always been him. Always will be. XOXO, your drama archivist.